A jury has now spoken. Brian Walshe has been found guilty of first-degree murder. But verdicts don't explain themselves. They're the product of choices, evidence presented, theories advanced, and stories told to jurors. In this case, police found blood inside the family home, a damaged, bloody knife, and a basement that looked like someone tried to scrub a nightmare off the floor. And in trash bags scattered across nearby town, investigators uncovered towels soaked with blood, cut clothing, personal items of the defendant's wife, and tools designed for taking things apart, not fixing them. Then, shockingly, the husband admits to dismembering his wife while still insisting he didn't kill her. Now, the Anna Walshe murder case. And the closer you examine the evidence, the more the defense story breaks apart.
This is Christopher Winchell with Crimes Digest. Crime news, cross-examined.
Most people look at this case and think it's completely obvious. And now the jury has spoken, finding Brian Walshe guilty of first-degree murder on Monday, December 15th. But in a courtroom, what feels obvious can dissolve into questions and doubt the moment a defense theory takes the stage. I've defended cases where the evidence was overwhelming. The story didn't add up, and yet the client refused a plea, or the state refused to offer one. And in those moments, you still have to build a theme. You still have to rise when the curtain goes up and give the jury something coherent to hold on to, even when the evidence doesn't cooperate. And that's exactly what happened here. So let's walk through the timeline, the searches, the bags, and yes, the body that's still missing. Because once you see everything together, the medical emergency explanation collapses under its own weight. Let's look at the facts. New Year's Day, January 1st, 2023. The Walshe home is quiet. The kids are asleep upstairs. But Anna is nowhere to be found. Her phone goes silent. Her friends can't reach her. Brian claims she left for an emergency work trip. But investigators find no evidence that she even left the house. In the basement, a red-brown stain, later confirmed to be Anna's blood. A knife with apparent blood, hidden above the refrigerator. Weeks later, trash bags at a North Shore facility reveal cut rug pieces, stained bloody towels, slippers with hair stuck to the sole, a Tyvek cleaning suit, a hacksaw, a hatchet, a hammer, with many of the items testing positive for Anna's blood. And sometimes Brian's as well. The saw even yields a bone fragment. But nothing chills prosecutors more than the digital trail. In the early hours of New Year's Day, January 1st, 2023, before anyone knew Anna was missing, someone searches how long before a body starts to smell, how to stop a body from decomposing, 10 ways to dispose of a dead body if you really need to, dismemberment and the best ways to dispose of a body, how to clean blood from a wooden floor. Prosecutors asserted that these searches were made in the exact window when Anna was last known alive. A man searching for answers before the world even knew she was missing. And yes, that timing matters. Because jurors don't just ask what happened. They ask, when were decisions made? Now let's turn to the prosecution. Prosecutors argued this wasn't rage, it wasn't panic, it was preparation. They pointed to the blood in the basement and the hidden knife. Not a kitchen accident, but the first sign of violence. And they argue that what happened afterward matters just as much, because post-death planning, cleanup, concealment, destruction, often reflects the mindset before the killing. Then come the trash bags, scattered across multiple towns, multiple days. Inside, the rug, towels, tools, a Tyvek suit, hair, blood, DNA, a bone fragment. To prosecutors, that disposal pattern was the tell. You don't scatter evidence if you're acting impulsively. You scatter it when you're thinking ahead. Then comes the Home Depot run. Tarps, mops, buckets, tape, gloves, drop cloths, cleaning agents. These aren't emergency supplies. Everything designed for containment and concealment. Simply, when you connect the dots, the picture they painted is clear. A violent act happened in the home. The cleanup required planning, and the dismemberment was meant to delay discovery. Not an accident, not confusion, a cover-up built step by step. Let's look at the defense. The defense said Anna died suddenly in her bed. No struggle, no violence, just a tragic medical collapse. Everything afterward, they say, must be viewed through that lens. They point to the lack of pre-death evidence. No searches were found before January 1st. No suspicious purchases. No signs of conflict. Friends saw nothing on New Year's Eve. If this were planned, why wait until afterward to buy the cleanup tools? Why leave blood behind? Why invent a business trip so easily disproven? According to the defense, Brian panicked due to federal probation. He assumed police would suspect him. He feared losing his children. And people do not always react rationally to sudden death. In the end, he pleaded guilty to post-offense cover-up. But they insisted a cover-up alone is not murder. They emphasized what the case lacked. No body was ever found. There's no autopsy indicating the cause of death. Further, there are no eyewitnesses to what actually occurred. There's no surveillance inside that home. So, in isolation, that argument could create doubt. But this case doesn't live in isolation. Now let's cross-examine the defense theory in this case, the way the jury did. Brian claimed that he panicked, but everything he did looks deliberate. If this was a medical emergency, why not call 911? If he feared suspicion, why choose the very actions guaranteed to raise suspicion? If he lost control, why do searches read like a disposal manual? If he acted impulsively, why is the Home Depot trip organized like an inventory? Additionally, if Anna died peacefully, why scatter her remains across town? Is that something anyone has ever done? In a natural death scenario, grief does not require a hacksaw. Grief doesn't create a midnight disposal route. And grief doesn't erase a mother from her children's lives. If he believes she died suddenly, why treat her body like incriminating evidence? And now that he admits to dismembering her, why won't he reveal where she is? A medical emergency does not cause a man to hide a body. It doesn't cause him to destroy evidence. And it does not cause him to scatter remains. These aren't the actions of a panicked husband. These were the actions of someone who knows what a medical examiner would discover if Anna Walshe was ever recovered. Massachusetts allows murder convictions without a body.
if the circumstantial evidence proves the person is dead, the death was criminal, and the defendant caused the death. The law does not require a corpse, but the absence of one always gives the defense a foothold.
With the evidence and law in mind, let's now turn to my ruling. There are really two defense theories to rule on in this case. The first, although not explicitly raised by the defense, is what we call heat of passion. Could a juror doubt long-term premeditation in this case? Possibly, but that does not make this heat of passion. And here's why. Heat of passion is like a pot boiling over on the stove. It flares suddenly, violently, and once you turn off the heat, it's stuck. Everything after that moment cools fast. But this case did not show a pot boiling over. It showed someone turning off the heat and then spending hours cleaning the stove. There's no evidence in this case of a sudden trigger for a heat of passion type murder. Friends the night before saw absolutely no conflict. No text suggested a blow-up, and no witnesses, even the children inside the home, heard any argument. Heat of passion ends in the moment. It does not explain hours of cleanup. It does not explain the Google searches. It does not explain the Home Depot inventory run. It did not explain the multiple disposal trips around the area. And it did not explain hiding her remains forever. Now, let's talk about the medical emergency theory explicitly raised by the defense. This is where jurors applied common sense. A spouse discovering a sudden collapse does not respond by dismembering the woman that they love. That is not a human reaction. The only thing that they could have concluded is that it was a criminal reaction. By admitting that Brian Walshe dismembered his wife after a supposed medical emergency, the defense did not make him look panicked or overwhelmed. To the opposite, it made him look controlled, deliberate, emotionally detached, and just plain sick. Dismemberment is not a reflex. It requires time, planning, and the ability to compartmentalize what you're doing. When jurors heard that story, they did not think, oh, this man could not have killed his wife. In fact, they thought the opposite. If he was capable of that kind of gruesome action afterwards, it became more probable that he was capable of intentional murder before it. Yes, the defense had to explain the evidence in this case, but by doing so, they crossed the line. They turned post-offense conduct into a window of the defendant's own character. And that character was not one the jurors associated with accidents or panic. It's one they associated by the defense's own argument with calculation, brutal calculation. And that's why, in my view, there was not reasonable doubt in this case. In fact, it reinforced the prosecution's own argument. Thanks for watching. If you found this breakdown helpful, please subscribe and hit the like button. It truly helps grow the channel. And for deeper written coverage of this case and hundreds more, visit crimesdigest.com. And as always, the truth matters, and so does reasonable doubt. I'll see you in the next trial.